People smuggling gangs are hoping to cash in on Europe's migration crisis by slashing the price of channel crossings to Britain. Traffickers are reportedly offering places on small boats for as little as £500 after the unprecedented surge of around 60,000 migrants into the Spanish enclave of Ceuta this week. Prime Minister Andy Burnham has offered his support to Spain as it deals with the surge. Have a listen.
Well, there you go. This is GB News Originals. I'm Emily Carver. Please do give this video a like and subscribe to our channel for more content like this. And do leave a comment. Let me know what you think.
I mean, obviously, that's a matter for the Spanish government first and foremost. But it is a cause for concern, and we are making contact with the Spanish government, the Spanish authorities, to provide support, but also to understand the implications of that situation.
But as countries across Europe grapple with rising arrivals, could Britain's borders be next in the spotlight? Well, let's talk now to Reform UK Party Chairman Lee Anderson. Lee, good to see you. Thank you so much for joining us today. Lee, a frightening story today. I mean, as if the Spanish invasion, because let's not beat about the bush, that's what it was, wasn't frightening enough. Now we learn that people smugglers are boasting this is a big opportunity and they're offering cut-price deals for people to come into the UK. Reaction, please.
Well, it comes as no surprise, Dawn. I mean, Andy Burnham's in no position to give anybody, especially Spain, any advice on securing borders. I think over 2,000 illegal migrants have arrived in this country since he walked into number 10. And look, this has been happening now for the best part of 5 or 6 years. I was banging on about this 5 years ago. I visited the camps in Calais. It was quite apparent at the time, and it still is, that these aren't people fleeing persecution or fleeing wars. They're economic migrants. 200,000 have arrived on our shores. Probably about 80 to 90% of those actually get accepted and get their asylum claims accepted. The rest just disappear into the black economy. And the Labour government and the cabinet keep bleating on about how many deportations there have been, but they fail to mention that most of these are voluntary. People have been paid to go back, and a lot of them are just overstays, students and work visas and the like. There's only one way you're going to stop this, and that is to detain and deport every single illegal migrant that comes onto these shores, and I don't know why the main parties don't agree with this policy.
Lee, I mean, when you have countries like Italy, which, all right, OK, is to the right, but Denmark, which is not renowned for being a right-wing government, strengthening their borders and taking a firm stand against this. Yeah. Why in this country do we have the cabinet members, I mean, I interviewed Louise Hay the other day, even scared of using the word invasion? She said, oh, it's not an invasion. Until we face facts, are we never going to solve this problem?
Oh, indeed. And why you've got cabinet members using that not using that sort of language, should I say? Well, we'll never be able to fix the problem. You speak about Italy. I was in Italy last weekend, actually, and in a city called Florence, and I saw firsthand the impact of illegal migrants. Hundreds of North African young males loitering, hanging around on street corners, intimidating people, scaring people, nowhere to sleep, you know, urinating and defecating in the street. Truly terrifying. And this is happening all over Europe. And it's because governments like ours are completely weak and spineless. This can be sorted out with the stroke of a pen. Detain and deport and leave the ECHR. It's as simple as that.
And Lee, why do not just this government, but the previous government, it has to be said, it's not unique to one party. Why do the governments that we've had recently not listen to people and listen to people's genuine fears, especially women and girls? And if you dare to speak out, they tell you you're racist. Why don't they listen to ordinary people?
You're quite right, Dawn. They don't listen. The only time they do listen is when they want to open a hotel or a camp in their own constituencies, and then they're kicking off saying things like, it's not suitable, it's not a suitable area. These people in Parliament, the place where I visit, you know, every week, have not got a clue what real people think. All they're interested in is keeping their seats. But like I said, though, when it impacts their own area, then they're pretty quick to speak out. Look, we've seen the crime rates in this country rocket. We've seen the problems with illegal migration. We've seen the problems with HMOs on our streets now. Yes, the hotels are empty, but where are these young men going? They're going onto our streets, and it's terrifying for young.
The British border is no longer just a political talking point. It has become a cut-price marketplace. While ministers in London deliver carefully polished speeches behind wooden podiums, people smugglers operating along the coast of northern France have reportedly slashed their rates to as little as £500 per crossing. That is less than the price of a last-minute rail ticket from London to Edinburgh during peak hours. Yet, for that modest sum, entire networks of illegal arrivals are being funneled directly into the United Kingdom. Welcome to Britain Underneath, where we peel back the polished political messaging to expose the stark realities shaping our nation today. Before we dive into the heart of this unfolding crisis, make sure to hit that subscribe button right now. Subscribing genuinely helps this channel grow, allows us to keep bringing you these deep investigations, and ensures you never miss the truths Westminster would rather keep hidden. What we are witnessing along the English Channel is not merely a logistical failure. It is the visible manifestation of a system that has completely lost its grip on reality. For years, the public has been assured that tough new measures were just around the corner. We were told that enforcement squads were being mobilised, that intelligence sharing with European partners was at an all-time high, and that the business model of human trafficking gangs was on the verge of total collapse. But the numbers tell a very different story. When a business model reduces its prices by half, it does not mean the operation is struggling. It means volume is skyrocketing. Smugglers are capitalizing on massive migration spikes across mainland Europe, moving human cargo with the kind of commercial efficiency that would make a corporate logistics firm jealous. The political establishment seems perpetually caught off guard by this reality. When an unprecedented surge of arrivals hit southern Europe recently, the immediate reaction from British leadership was to offer diplomacy, advice, and international coordination. But words do not secure coastline boundaries. While frontbench politicians debate the precise terminology to use in television interviews, ordinary citizens across Britain are watching the consequences play out in real time on their own high streets. The disconnect between the sheltered corridors of Parliament and the daily experience of British towns has never been wider.
Families, especially those who've got children and daughters, when you see gangs of young men who come from cultures, backward cultures, I'm not ashamed to say that have no respect for our women and girls, it's truly terrifying. And our governments, successive governments, should really hang their heads in shame. They've made us unsafer.
And it's not racist to be worried about the cultural differences between many of the countries that these young men, many, are coming from.
It's not racist to point out the fact that, men from places like Sudan, Eritrea and Afghanistan, some of them are a threat to our young women and girls. We see it almost on a weekly basis now, another Afghani or a Sudanese or wherever in court for raping and harming young girls in our country. It's not racist to keep highlighting the fact the people that should be ashamed are the people in power.
And the other point in the story today is what's happened in Spain with this invasion is that gangs operating along the frontier between Iran and Afghanistan are now saying that inquiries from those countries have climbed sharply about tickets, if that's the right phrase, about boat traffic over to the UK. They say, well, they've seen this as an encouraging sign. They now want to give it a try, and it's only £500. Why not?
Oh, I mean, it is encouraging. They might as well just open the travel agents on the high street in mainland Europe, these people smugglers, and put 2 flights a day on from northern France. That's how simple it is now, Dawn, to get people across this country because, as I say, there are no deterrents for anybody entering our country illegally. If they thought that once they got here, they would be detained and would be deported and never allowed to claim asylum, then they wouldn't come. It's as simple as that.
And as Zia Youssef, who's been out in theatre, said that he spoke to one person that admitted he was wanted for murder in his home country. We don't know who these people are or what intentions they have towards us.
Well, exactly. We've got murderers, rapists, paedophiles, sexual offenders coming in by the boatload on almost a daily basis. And what happens when they get here? We put them in a nice, cushy hotel, free phones, access to Wi-Fi, 3 meals a day, and say, you...
Consider the mechanics of what happens once a vessel touches down on British sand. Under the current framework, those who enter the country through these unofficial routes are processed through an administrative system that is bogged down by backlogs, legal disputes, and institutional inertia. Hundreds of thousands of individuals have passed through this pipeline over the last half-decade. Official figures often point toward deportation numbers as proof of robust enforcement. However, a closer examination reveals that a vast majority of these departures are entirely voluntary, often supported by financial incentives paid for by the taxpayer, or they consist of individuals who simply overstayed legitimate study or work visas. The actual rate of compulsory removal for those entering illegally via small vessels remains remarkably small. If you are finding this analysis insightful, please take a moment to subscribe to Britain Underneath. Your support is vital in keeping independent British political commentary alive and thriving. This brings us to the core issue that very few in authority are willing to address directly. When enforcement is weak and processing times stretch into years, the United Kingdom effectively becomes an open destination. The incentive structure is entirely upside down. If an individual knows that stepping onto British soil guarantees housing, daily provisions, and years of legal appeals, regardless of how they arrived, why would they not pay £500 to make the journey? The math is simple, and the smuggling cartels know it. They are selling a product that the British state continually subsidises through its own indecision. Meanwhile, European neighbours are taking a noticeably firmer stance. Across the continent, governments of various political persuasions are tightening their borders, reforming their asylum laws, and implementing strict detention measures. Countries that were once considered the benchmark for liberal immigration policies are rapidly shifting toward pragmatic national interest. Yet in Britain, the debate remains trapped in an endless loop of moral posturing and parliamentary squabbling. Any suggestion of implementing immediate detention and swift return policies is met with immediate pushback from legal advocacy groups and parliamentary backbenchers who seem more concerned with international legal theories than the physical integrity of the nation's borders.
Also, we're going to find somewhere for you to live, give you free legal aid, and then they stop in this country for the rest of their life. Some of them go and commit awful crimes. And again, Dawn, this is all because we have weak leadership in this country.
And just quickly and finally, Lee, do you ever, I mean, Labour keep telling us that the boat crossings are down. Do you ever see a time where the United Kingdom might face a situation similar to what we have seen in theatre?
Well, it's already happened, Dawn, but I mean, obviously over 4 or 5 years, we've had 200,000 coming over 4 and 5 years, so it will keep coming. Thank goodness we have the English Channel between us and mainland Europe, or it would have been worse, mark my words. So we have got a little bit of protection, but, you know, once these boats get into the sea, they're more or less there. I was in Calais, 3 or 4 years ago, and the gendarmes were telling us that once these migrants are in northern France, they are basically in the UK, because they will try and try and try until they actually get here.
Lee, thank you so much for joining us today. That's at Reform UK Party Chairman Lee Anderson there. Now,
the economic argument, often invoked to justify low enforcement, is falling apart just as fast. The financial burden of maintaining thousands of arrivals in temporary accommodation, from hotels to repurposed facilities, runs into billions of pounds annually. This is money drawn directly from public funds at a time when British taxpayers are facing record tax burdens, failing local infrastructure, and stretched public services. Every pound spent housing an unvetted arrival is a pound taken away from British hospitals, roads, and social care systems. Take a breath, digest these facts, and stay informed, because understanding these structures is essential if we want to hold our leaders accountable. There is also a profound social cost that Westminster consistently chooses to minimise. Communities across the country are expected to absorb rapid demographic shifts without adequate resource allocation or consultation. When local authorities express concern regarding the strain on public amenities, healthcare services, and housing availability, their objections are frequently dismissed by political elites who reside far away from the impacted neighbourhoods. It is a remarkable display of institutional condescension. The very people paying for the system are the ones routinely instructed not to question its outcomes. Security concerns represent another critical piece of this puzzle. When individuals enter a country without documentation or background verification, the state loses its primary mechanism for protecting its citizenry. While the overwhelming majority of people moving across borders may simply be seeking better economic prospects, the absence of vetting creates an obvious loophole that bad actors can easily exploit. Intelligence agencies and law enforcement officials are fully aware of this vulnerability, yet the policy response remains timid and reactive. To ensure you stay ahead of the curve on British political affairs, take a quick second to hit the subscribe button for Britain Underneath. Joining our community ensures that you always receive mature, unfiltered analysis directly to your feed. The argument that geographical isolation provides automatic protection is rapidly dissolving. While the Channel serves as a formidable natural moat, it is only as effective as the political will behind its protection. Once a boat enters territorial waters, the practical border shifts from the sea to the shore. Smugglers know that if a craft reaches British waters, their mission is effectively complete because British authorities will safely escort the vessel to port. In essence, the Royal National Lifeboat Institution and Border Force are transformed into an unofficial taxi service for commercial trafficking operations, regardless of the brave and noble intentions of individual crew members. This entire crisis boils down to a failure of political resolve. The tools to secure the nation exist, but the willingness to utilise them is missing. Leaving international frameworks that no longer serve national interests, establishing secure holding facilities, and executing immediate returns are not extreme measures. They are the standard obligations of a sovereign state to its people. Until Westminster recognises that border integrity is a primary duty rather than an optional political preference, the cut-price crossings will continue, the smuggler networks will grow richer, and the trust between the British public and its government will continue to erode. Please take a moment to subscribe to Britain Underneath to support our ongoing work. We encourage you to watch our videos right through to the end. Stay informed and join us again next time as we continue to uncover the hidden political dynamics shaping modern Britain.